Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Today's podcast is sponsored by SLI Systems, providers of intelligent site search and navigation solutions. Learn more at sli-systems.com and listen to their interviews at ecommercepodcast.com. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
Welcome to another edition of E-Commerce Conversations by Practical E-Commerce. My name is Kerry Murdoch. I'm the publisher of Practical E-Commerce, and we're joined today by Rhett McNulty, who is the Chief Operating Officer of ShopIt, a firm specializing in social networking applications for e-commerce firms. Rhett, thank you for joining us today. Rhett, we're here today to talk about social networking for e-commerce firms, and in particular how your company, ShopIt, addresses those two topics. I wonder, first of all, if I could just ask you, what is ShopIt?
I guess ShopIt, in its most simple form, is an e-commerce platform that allows users to syndicate their products and services across the internet for free.
How does that work? Syndicate to social networking sites?
That's correct. So what I mean by syndicate is that ShopIt is agnostic to any e-commerce platform. So whether a user wants to import their items from an eBay and then post those items into a Facebook, they can display them there. They're not bound to a destination like Yahoo stores where you have to sell the products themselves within that network. You can sell them where you live, where you interact, where you communicate with other people about your products.
Is that MySpace and Facebook primarily that you're talking about?
Well, MySpace and Facebook are two of the largest social networks where users can monetize networks, but there are numerous other social networks that users can communicate with potential buyers or other merchants.
Tell us what you mean exactly by social networks, Rhett. What is that term?
Well, that's a good question. I probably have two descriptions for what a social network is. I guess the phone would be any site that has a profile that allows users to input content and have two-way communication. But social networks are also an extension of your offline networks, and they give the users ability to stay up to date with businesses, families, or friends.
And the popular social networking sites, once more, in your mind, would be?
Facebook, MySpace are generally the biggest, but you have other large networks like LinkedIn or Plaxo that are more business-focused.
And so your application can work on those examples as well?
Yes, it can.
You mentioned an application. Tell us what you mean by that, a social networking app. What is that?
So applications are third-party software or platforms that integrate into other platforms seamlessly. So different than what people call widgets, which you have to take a piece of code and embed into another site, and it kind of works like a plug-on. An application is more integrated in the sense that a user can live autonomously within a ShopIt application, for instance, on Facebook, and never have to go to ShopIt, and they can do all of their communications, adding of items, transaction of items, and management of that transaction within Facebook.
So as it applies to an e-commerce merchant, which are our listeners, an e-commerce merchant can place his products on one of these social networking sites, and visitors to those social networking sites can purchase those products from the site without ever leaving the site.
Correct.
Yeah, interesting. Can you give us some examples of how this works? So I'm an e-commerce merchant and I sell, say, running shoes, for example. I have a e-commerce site. Perhaps I've got a licensed shopping cart. Perhaps I have a hosted shopping cart, and I presently sell my running shoes on that licensed or hosted shopping cart on my website. How can I get my running shoes onto social networking sites via your app?
Great question. So I think the simplest place to start for a merchant who doesn't have a network within a social community is to join one. That's a decision that the merchant has to make, but it may be a Facebook that has some kind of business world wrapped around it, or it could be a LinkedIn. The user would create a profile not for themselves but for their business, and you can do that within Facebook or LinkedIn or MySpace. And once they've created that profile, they can then communicate with other people about those items. So if it's running shoes, for instance, they can join groups based around running or based around shoes. Those groups tend to communicate about those items and promote products and services around that. When you add a ShopIt application, you can let your community that you've built know about the products that you're selling, and they can add that to the shopping cart within Facebook or MySpace, for instance.
You've explained to me elsewhere the promotional, kind of the viral marketing or the viral promotional opportunities for merchants when transactions occur via your app for their products on these social networking sites. Could you explain the viral marketing implications from all this?
Right. So probably the best thing about social networks is the amount of communication that happens without any effort on the part of the user. So depending on what actions users take, those can be conveyed to not only the merchant's network, but also the buyer's network. If a user purchases those running shoes, it's going to tell everybody else in the running shoe network that, say, Johnny just bought a pair of Nike shoes from the running store. It's also going to tell all of Johnny's friends that he purchased a pair of running shoes from the running store, therefore spreading that store's coverage virally across the social graph. There's other items that also help to spread that information. Users can share those products with their friends. These are built-in functionalities that are provided by the social network. So if I know that my friend is looking for a pair of shoes, I can simply click on share this item with a friend next to the product and then send that item to my friend, helping to promote that product for the company.
So continuing our example here on the running shoe store, say I have an inventory of 100 different types of running shoes with images. How do I get the descriptions of that inventory with those images of the running shoes? How do I get that from my shopping cart or my website into my, for example, MySpace page using your application?
So currently there are 4 ways to add products to ShopIt. One is manually uploading an item, the image, description, and price, item by item, and this works best for smaller merchants. If you have a catalog of 100 items or more, you can import your items if you have an eBay store or Yahoo or directly from there into ShopIt, and it'll pull the images, descriptions, price, or any other related category or keyword information with it. Or you can use a .csv file to import those products into ShopIt. Then you simply click Add Application within MySpace or Facebook to get that product catalog listed there.
So if a merchant has the ability to export his products into a .csv file, that's pretty much all your application needs.
That's correct.
How does ShopIt make money in all this, Rhett?
That's a good question because we are free for merchants to sell, list, transact both services and products. We have built a network that allows users to target interested people in their items. So if they don't have a network of 500 friends on their MySpace page and they only have 5 friends, they will be able to say, I want to target 18 to 25-year-olds that live in this city and that are interested in running. And then they can place a user-generated ad within our network, and we can deliver it throughout the social networks or within ShopIt itself. And we will charge a fee for that.
This has been an interesting conversation. Do you have anything else you would like to share with our listeners? Our listeners are e-commerce merchants. Anything else on your mind as it relates to social networking, ShopIt in particular?
I think something for merchants to look out for in the near future is websites like Yahoo and Google becoming more social. This will help merchants because it won't just be profiles that will be social. It'll be search or email or specific verticals related to those merchants. So as soon as those networks opened up, as they have expressed, then you will see a more social nature start to take place within those categories. The other thing is that we love our users' feedback, so anything that they want to communicate to us or any suggestions they can give always make our product a better product. So we'd love to hear from them.
All right. Or any questions they have about any sort of integration between what they're doing and your app, you would welcome any of those questions, I assume.
Of course.
Okay. Well, the site is ShopIt.com. That's the word ShopIt.com. And Rhett McNulty, Chief Operating Officer of ShopIt, I thank you for your time today, sir.
Thanks for having me, Kerry.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.